Hello and welcome to another edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. Right off the bat on the old show today, we're going to talk about this vehicle. This is the brand new Volkswagen Golf GTE. Now there's many different variants of the Golf, and this particular variant is the brand new plug-in hybrid. Now they've also got a CNG natural gas automobile. Of course they've got the standard version, and not to mention the high-end version, the high-performance GTI. This new GTE is going to kind of bridge the gap and is going to be somewhat of a hybrid that maybe even I would own as far as that's concerned. Now this vehicle, the heart of the beast, comes in with a 1.4 liter four-cylinder putting out 148 brake horsepower. Now this made it up with an electric engine, and between the two of them it makes 201 brake horsepower and 258 pounds-feet of torque. Now that torque number is pretty impressive because that's 51 pounds of torque more than the GTI or the performance version, but it is saddled with a little bit of weight because of the electric engine and the electric battery, which means the car does weigh about 260 pounds more, which does shave off 1.2 seconds in 0 to 60 time, and it does come in at 0 to 60 in just 7.5 seconds. Now, no official mile to gallon numbers are actually out as of yet, but Volkswagen's already bragging that this thing's going to have a range on one tank of fuel of 584 miles, which is monstrously impressive. Not to mention this vehicle on full electric only can go up to 31 miles, and the speed, 81 miles an hour is the top speed on full electric alone. Obviously, you're going to shave off quite a bit of those 31 miles if you're going in that kind of speed. We may have some more official details and some better details coming up very soon when this car makes its official debut at the Geneva Motor Show. Next up on the list, well, we talked about these GT3 fires from the Porsches that are actually catching on fire and burning to the ground. There's 5 of them as of we speak. Well, Porsche now has officially come out and did an official recall, and they will recall every one of these particular automobiles. All 785 GT3s that were sold worldwide will be recalled. Now, if you own one of these GT3s, they say do not drive it, and you can call your Porsche dealership, and they will come and actually pick up the vehicle themselves and have it trailered back in, at least to try to figure out what's exactly going on with this. Porsche hasn't come out with an actual plan on what's going on or how they're going to fix it, but I'm sure they're going to be on top of it and get this deal fixed, and fixed quickly. And next up on the list, well, the next story has got involving Miss Danica Patrick. Little pot shots being taken at her expense. Now, I'm not the world's biggest fan of Miss Patrick. We had a little run-in way back in the MySpace days that I won't go into. That has kind of soured my feelings on this particular lady. But that being said, she's probably one of the most talented female racers in the sport today, especially back when she was in IndyCar racing, which I kind of wish she would have stayed in because I think she was really starting to get a handle on it. Now she's jumped into NASCAR, obviously, for bigger reasons, especially on the money side. But the gal has shown a little bit of promise and is starting to move forward in her NASCAR career. And she's had run-ins with ex-drivers in the past, not only in NASCAR, but in other forms of sport. As we're actually on the day of the Daytona 500. In fact, I think it's still in a rain delay as I'm taping this as we speak. Her first little run-in, or at least a more public run-in, was with a fellow by the name of Kyle Petty. It was a year or so ago when he came out and said that his father, Richard Petty, had a little saying that there were fast drivers and then there were people who could win races. And he considered Miss Patrick to be a fast driver. Little shot, there was a little bit of apology going back and forth, and then I think everything got swept under the rug as far as that was concerned in this particular deal. But in the media days heading up to the Daytona 500, Kyle Petty's father, Richard Petty, was actually asked what he thought of Miss Patrick, and his words were, well, I think she can win a race if everybody else would stay home. Basically meaning that everybody would have to be gone off the track for her to have the ability to win the race. Which was kind of a cheap shot, nonetheless. Don't know 100% if he was kidding about this or not. But, that being said, Miss Patrick handled it with much grace, much class when it came to this. But then later in the week, Mr. Petty came at her again and said that he wants to come back in a race car and race her and show her what's what. I don't know whether he's trying to actually open qualify for a NASCAR event or whether he's actually coming in to just try to put together a one-off race between the two of them. But Mr. Petty, you're in your 70s. What is your end game? That's my biggest question. Mr. Petty, if you get to see this deal, what's your end game in this? Are you trying to shame her out of the sport of auto racing? Because it'll never happen. And this is a weird situation. Don't 100% sure know if there's maybe some underlying beef between these two folks or not, but it is a weird situation and something that I've kind of toyed with over the past 24 to 48 hours of why this is exactly taking place. And it's been on my brain so much I had to bring it out to you guys out there in the interweb world. So, weird situation and not really a very good automotive story when it comes to it. I'm sorry about that as well. And that's all there was that I thought was worth talking about for this week's Motor Cars Enthusiast. If you want to jump on over to the Facebook page, the link's down in the show notes. Also, if you want to subscribe to the channel, you can do so at any time and get the first dibs on the brand new shows as soon as they come out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again real soon.